Hey everybody, welcome to Mr. Mom's World, where we're going to have some cooking fun today. Today my guest is a very long time friend, Jill McKnight. She is I'm going to get them all wrong, because if there is anyone busier than me, it is her. So, and if you want something done and you need to ask a busy person, that's just my rule of thumb. So she is the president of the Ladner Business Association. She is the market manager for the Ladner Village Market, and she is co-owner of South Coast Casuals clothing store in Ladner. Did I get all that right?
You did.
Perfect.
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
That's a long resume.
It is a long resume, and I know for a fact that that isn't all of it. She's just being humble today. So welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So I understand that you've never prepared this dish before.
I have not.
And why?
Why? Because it's a new recipe to me. It's
Okay.
just been introduced. My brother, who lives in Edmonton, has
Hi,
been...
Ken.
Yes, hi, Ken. Has been starting to embrace more vegetarian dishes in his life, and he's finding he's feeling great doing it. So he sent this to me and said, I think this could be a great introduction for you. And I thought, what better time than to prepare it with you?
Right, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to, we'll first let you know, this is kind of a three-part dish.
So this is a layered dish that could kind of be in place of your traditional Thanksgiving dinner. We've got a bit of sweet potato, a bit of the cranberry sauce, and then a lentil stew, all wrapped in a puff pastry. So that's the overview of it.
For a vegetarian, it's amazing. We have supplemented some of the ingredients because it wasn't a vegan we were after. We created more of just a vegetarian style. So this, again, is a cranberry apple sauce. And again, it calls for dried cranberries, which are a little bit sweeter. We used fresh.
Yeah.
But I also used an apple pie filling as opposed to the
Okay.
unsweetened apple sauce that the recipe calls for. Again, one removing the sugar, one re-adding it. So it really isn't going to matter. And I also like the pie filling, if you will, over the real apples because they're already partly simmered. But again, they come out with the same chunks. And I personally like it more chunky. It's entirely up to you. It's a preference thing again. What all you'll know about my cooking segments is that it has to fit you, it has to fit your lifestyle. So if you want more nutmeg, add more nutmeg. If you want more cinnamon, add more cinnamon. That's the beauty about cooking.
It is.
So this recipe, or the sauce recipe, calls for dried cranberries, 1 cup, 3/4 cup water. Again, these recipes will all be on our website, www.mrmomsworldcatering.com. It calls for a 1/2 cup unsweetened applesauce, 1 apple peeled. Again, I just used a pie fill, combining both of those together. 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon ginger, 1/4 teaspoon allspice, 1/4 teaspoon sea salt. I love sea salt, so we're all in good standing right there. So what is this, Jill?
This is the sweet potato layer,
Yep.
or sweet potato filling.
Yep.
So mashed sweet potatoes.
Yep.
I think you've added a couple of little spices in there
Yep.
to give it a bit of flavor in that, but just really simple. And then you've used a milk product to thicken it. Did you go with a plant-based milk, or did you use
We did not use a plant-based milk.
Okay.
But again, I would strongly say if you want coconut milk, use coconut milk. If you want a heavier, listen, I'm a full-figured guy, so I do nothing. As Paula Deen would say, it's better with butter and bacon and heavy cream. So again, I would use a heavy cream, but entirely up to you.
Yeah, and there's so many options on the
There
market
is so many.
now.
Oh my God! Right? So many options for sure. So let me just go over quickly what this particular recipe is. Again, we just bought 2 large sweet potatoes. We peeled them down, boiled them down, and then in the mashing process, it calls for 2 tablespoons nutritional yeast. So again, that just adds a different dimension to the flavor. We didn't use that, but certainly if you were a vegan or vegetarian, it would just add that further dimension. It calls for a tablespoon vegan butter or margarine. We just use classic butter. I don't use a whole lot of margarine in my recipes, but half teaspoon of cinnamon, half teaspoon garlic powder, half teaspoon sea salt, quarter teaspoon allspice, quarter teaspoon nutmeg, quarter teaspoon ginger, quarter teaspoon ground black pepper. What I want you to know is that when we received the recipe so that our PA could put the stuff together, it comes out very daunting. But a lot of the spices that are not only in the cranberry sauce follow through into this piece of it as well. So it looks more daunting than it actually is. The third piece, the final piece, is
the lentil stew, which is what we're going to be preparing now.
Right.
And the great thing that I really like with this recipe as well is that all three components could be made on their own for other purposes. You could make this just as a nice sweet potato dish. The lentil stew will possibly work just for a lunch or a dinner entree as well.
Yeah,
so.
and what I'm thinking is those that are not vegetarian, that have the classic turkey dinner, this in a wrap with turkey and lettuce and mayonnaise.
Delicious.
Oh my God, color me in for sure. So let's start. What can I help you with?
All right, so we're gonna turn our pot on and then we're gonna take it down to medium. Oh.
Okay,
there we go.
Got a little spark here, honey.
Yes.
We're high heat here at Mr. Mom's World. Okay, medium heat, you said?
Medium heat, yes.
And for all those watching me with my fingers in my pot, I get it. We're the only ones eating it. Calm down. That's not normally how we do things. Okay.
So we're going to start by putting a little bit of oil in.
Yep, and that's just a plain vegetable oil, but you could use, I'm sure, like a peanut oil, an olive oil continues high heat, any of those types of things if you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything that you're comfortable cooking with.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to saute the onions and the celery and the carrot.
Okay, again, this recipe is going to be on our website, but it typically calls for 1 cup chopped yellow onion and a 1/2 cup finely chopped celery, and then we're moving into a 1/2 cup finely chopped carrot. And then you're going to saute that, what, a couple minutes?
Yeah, it says about 4 to 5 minutes. So I think we're going to do it till it's sort of soft.
Yeah. So a little. So the onion's a little opaque. So while we're waiting for that, what happened this year with? Well, listen, we're all part of that small business world.
Yes.
But what happened this year with the change of the Ladner Village market? You guys must have run into some big challenges, like all the markets did.
Yeah.
Across the province. How did you guys cope?
It was a real different experience this year, and but that was okay. We made it work.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that we did is we knew that we were going to have a max capacity, and farmers markets had the opportunity to still operate because they were considered an essential service.
Right.
Much like a grocery store. So essentially, they were your outdoor grocery store.
Right.
So based on that, we had limits on the number of people that we could have based on the similar requirements to a grocery store. And we were able to do that by actually fencing the market. We had 1 entrance, 1 exit, and general one-way flow through the market as per the provincial health officer.
Sure.
And it worked out great.
Now I hear that through several markets across the province that they all run a little bit different because not all markets had to be fenced. So that was kind of a local decision. How was that decision?
That decision was actually made by us because we knew that we needed to be able to manage the number of people.
Right. And the in and out, the one way
in and out. Yeah. And because our market naturally has 5 entrances, we needed to be able to control people coming in and out. And we needed to be able to maintain the 6 feet of distancing between family groups or between households or bubbles.
Awesome.
And so we knew that fencing it was going to be our best way of doing that. Our market does tend to be on the larger side, where we can have on average 6,000 to 8,000 people attending our market. This year we were welcoming attendance closer to 2,500. It was a big modification. We also were food only this year. And again, that was a decision that was made based on the initial order by the provincial health officer, but for Ladner, we felt it was the right decision.
Right.
So we had about 65 vendors.
Now Mr. Mom's World participated in the market for almost 20 years as a food vendor. And so typically, I'm going to say there was about 150 usually?
About 170.
170 in previous markets. So that is way down, as you can tell. But again, I think in my opinion, it's about keeping the people safe, and it was certainly It was new. Who knew, right?
Very much so.
It was an experience for everyone, and everyone just had to flounder through it, if that be the word I want to use, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, so here we are.
Yes.
We are sautéed. We're starting to get opaque on the onions and softened. What do we do next?
So now what we're going to do is be adding our spices. So we've got our sage, our thyme, our nutmeg, and you've measured these all out.
They're all measured out.
So that they are all ready to go.
Yep.
We're going to add those all in.
And so just to quickly recap on those, it's a half teaspoon thyme, fresh or ground, it makes no difference, half teaspoon sage, half teaspoon sea salt, half teaspoon ground black pepper, quarter teaspoon nutmeg. That's your spices going in. And again, I tell everyone this, I say it 1,000 times over again, save some of your salt and pepper seasoning for the very end because, you know, prepackaged flavorings, prepackaged spices, whatever you might be used might carry a little more salt than you're used to. So always wait just till that final, almost prior to serving.
So this is coming along quite nicely.
Yep.
So I'm going to add the mushrooms in now.
Smells amazing. I wish you guys could smell it out there.
Oh, it does.
It's to die for. Honest to gosh, it is to die for.
Yeah. And you know, how big you chop your mushrooms is really up to you.
Yeah.
Some people like to chop them smaller because they'll cook a bit faster, but just keep that in mind. They are going to cook faster the smaller you cut them.
Yep. And also they will, as the moisture is cooked out of them, they're going to shrink a little bit as well in the cooking process.
I sometimes forget that when I'm making things, and then I think I cut them too small.
Too small? Yeah, I'm with you on that. So let's talk quickly about South Coast Casuals. So when I first started the market, you guys were selling menswear at that point.
We were.
You're now all a woman's fashion.
Correct.
But you have really shifted well through COVID in how you do business, like the rest of the world has done that survived.
We did, yep.
And so tell us a little bit about that.
For sure. So our South Coast Casuals has actually celebrated its 25th anniversary this year. So we've been doing this for a bit.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
And we had menswear for the first 14 years, but we found that as our demographic was changing, we needed to give a bit more space to ladies wear. So we've moved into that direction. And with COVID this year, it was kind of a shocking day, the day we had to close our store and just be like, we're closing our doors. We had never imagined, and it was an eerie feeling as we left that night. But we chose to pivot. We created an online opportunity where customers could shop online with us. You can go to shop.southcoastcasuals.com. We are putting up new product every day right now. And it's a great chance. It's a selection of what we have. It's certainly not all the product that we have, but it is a good selection that we have. But there's definitely more in store. Yes, thank you. And then we did some FaceTime shopping appointments. We were doing some personal visits. People say, well, what is a clothing emergency? Well, we had customers that worked in grocery stores that ripped their black jeans that they wear to work, and they were needing to come in and get a new pair. So we were able to do shopping appointments for those people. We were dropping things off at people's homes because that's important.
So you guys pivoted really well then, right?
We did, yeah.
So that's, I mean, listen, we all had to do it, and I'm glad you guys are still around because you are an integral part to Ladner's shopping experience downtown. Again, we've been part of your life for, I don't know, almost 20 years. And we have seen what you guys have done with that store over the past 20 years, and it's amazing. So congratulations for making that, and hopefully we're around for another 25 years.
Well, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to add the garlic now.
Yep.
And the lentils.
Yep.
And we'll let those cook for a few minutes as well. Saute that a bit.
Okay.
That one. And it says to cook for about, 2 to 3 minutes at this stage of the game.
Okay.
So we'll let that kind of cook through.
Now, again, just for convenience sake, because again, if you watch my cooking segments, you know I'm all about how do we do it quicker, faster. I have 10 kids. It's like, I don't want to be doing a bunch of this, but as you can see, if you can prep a lot of this the day before. So to me, this is, if I can do something in under an hour, I'm all about it. And as you can see, this is pretty much done in a pot. You can either soak your lentils overnight, or guess what? There's ones that have been done for you. So that's what we've done for this recipe. Again, choose whatever you want to do. Our PA decided that it was quick and easy, and we just picked up some that were already soaked.
And that also makes it so that they're soft, you know, because that's part of the each person's going to have their own
Exactly.
desire of how firm
Yeah.
or soft they prefer their lentils.
Well, and isn't that, I'm glad you mentioned that because I love mine. When I do a chili, I want my beans, like, I want them soft.
Okay.
Now, again, there's people that like them a little firmer, right?
And I'm on that side.
Yeah,
of things.
see? So, yeah, exactly.
I still like to feel like I have to work to eat.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so as we're cooking this, we're now going to be adding our vegetable stock.
okay.
And again, this is something that some people may have their own homemade vegetable stock that they've made. Or some people may, just like me, purchase it out of a container.
Well, and just so lucky for you, Jill, if you purchase my soup cookbooks, we have a vegetable stock in there.
Oh, well, that's fantastic.
Surprise, surprise.
You know what? I have your soup cookbook at home too. That would be
But easy peasy, all your leftover cuttings of vegetables, your celery, your onions,
Yes.
your tomatoes, throw them into a freezer bag, a Ziploc bag. When the bag becomes full, you simmer it for a couple hours on the stove. Voila, add some salt, some pepper. That's your basic spice to a vegetable stock. And it's so easy. Then what I do at home is I either freeze them in a bread pan in Ziploc, so you have just enough for one portion or two portions, and or I put them in a plastic cup, those blue or red beer cups they call them, and I just freeze them on a tray in there, and then when they're done, I pop them into a Ziploc and they're done. And then you just pop that into your soup, melts right there, you're done. Easy peasy for vegetable stock.
You can also use ice cube trays.
Ice cube shapes, exactly. And again, if you're a family like mine, you're going to use a ton more. If it's just you and Steve,
Yeah.
you're going to use smaller amounts. So whatever works for your family.
Yeah, that's the important thing. So we've added this. We're going to bring it up to a simmer.
Yep.
And then we're going to be adding our cornstarch and water.
Yep.
And we're going to have it thicken a little bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Have we got the water as well? Oh,
I do have
perfect.
water. And so there's
Lovely.
a fork there if you need to stir it with something smaller.
Perfect.
Now again, you can thicken or you can make the mixture of cornstarch with your vegetable broth. You don't need to use the water. I often mix mine with a cream if I'm making a cream soup so it doesn't make it watery. There's so little to this recipe that it really doesn't matter that you use the water, but because it won't dilute the flavor. But again, if you were making a larger batch, I would use the vegetable broth to thicken it. So, or to put into your cornstarch.
That's perfect. So when it says mix it into a slurry, that's going to be where it's just thickened it a bit, so it's got a bit of sort of substance to it.
Yep, yeah, almost like a thick porridge
Yeah.
is really what it's talking about. And again, I guess if you're the type of person that wants your lentils really, really soft, you could simmer that for quite a while prior. But keep in mind that you're losing water or moisture the longer you cook that, so you'd want to replace that moisture as you move forward.
The other thing to keep in mind too is that we are going to be cooking it when we put it into
That's
the
correct.
puff pastry,
Yeah.
so we are going to lose a bit more moisture then too.
You will, yeah.
So
The other thing is, though, having said that, you want to make sure you have it drier, if you will,
Yeah.
because it will take longer to cook in the puff pastry. It'll make it way too moist.
Okay.
Now we should, at this point, pre-do our oven.
Okay.
And that I would start at 375.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long do you think we're going to cook it for?
I'm going to just double check the recipe for that.
Sounds good. Absolutely. I'm going to,
I'm going to say that we're probably going to cook it for 30 to 40 minutes.
Good say. So I'm just setting our little convection oven because that's what I love to use. So one of the other things that we should talk about is your involvement as president of the Ladner Business Association. Of which we are a member. And we're baby members. We have just been a part of it. I think this is going into our second year.
Second or third?
I think second or third.
Okay.
And so here's what I can tell you about any association, business association, but specifically about this one, that it's extremely important to belong to some type of an organization. So whether that is your local business association, whether that is a chamber of commerce, if you're a small business, you want to be known in your neighborhood. And the Ladner Business Association is one of those organizations, obviously partly because you're president and extremely kind of dedicated and loyal to that, but is one of those associations where really and truly everyone tries to help everyone.
Very much so.
And so tell me a little bit about how many members do you guys have?
So we currently have about 150 members.
Right.
And those are businesses not just that are based in Ladner, but that do business in Ladner. And that's a key distinction, because a lot of times a business association is really based on your geographical region, and we don't have that restriction on us. We have everything from small businesses with a single person working out of their home to large companies that you would see throughout British Columbia.
Right.
And the value of that is that we all bring different perspectives, we bring different needs, we bring different relationships to the table. We first, as our store, got involved in the Ladner Business Association 6 months before we opened. And one of the values of joining so early on was that through the relationships we made in the association, that was a lot of the suppliers that we used in our business. It was the electrician, it was the alarm company, it was the carpeting. And some of those relationships, we're still using those same businesses 25 years later.
Right.
So the value of the membership is infinite, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
Where I see the biggest value is not so much in a tangible thing that you get. It's 100% about the relationships you build.
Right. Exactly.
And what you choose to put into it.
Yeah.
We know in business that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. But the other part of that is they also do business with people they value. And value can come from the connection of, oh, you need something? Well, maybe I know somebody.
Right.
Or you need someone to talk to. COVID has certainly brought about some unique challenges.
Right. Yep.
And one of the things that came out of my role as president is that I started doing walk and talks, where it was a chance to meet up with somebody from the association and say, here's what I'm struggling with. Here's what's hard today. Okay, well, what do I know? And
who do I know?
Here's my experience. Yeah. Maybe I can connect you with someone who could help you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of value has come from that. And it's been able to come together as groups with similar challenges and learn from each other.
Right.
And it's been a tremendous value.
Right. The other piece of that, just to expand a little bit about dealing with those relationships, is when we joined, whatever it was, 2 years ago, a year ago, we knew already a lot of those people. But when COVID hit, and it was, my membership was due, I said to one of the members, I said, well, what value are you giving me for my membership money? And she listed this whole spiel, if you will, of stuff that was value. And I agreed with her that, like, it's extremely important to have that. And, not only from the contact, I mean, I can't tell you how many times you and I've spoken. I said,
yes.
Hey, do you know somebody? What can you do? Where can I go? And usually there's an answer to that.
Very much so.
So I encourage anyone, small business, join your local business association.
Yeah.
And further to that, not me personally, but further to that, if you have time to help it out and help it grow, then do that. And the reason I say I just got enough on my plate right now, but I think it's extremely important to be a part of it as well. To be an active member, sure. Okay, so we're finished, really.
We're gonna put this aside. We're gonna let this cool.
Yes.
Because we want it to cool before we add it to our pastry.
Done.
Sometimes there's different tools for cooling it. Chances are open air is the best.
Yeah.
But if someone was in a real pinch, you can sometimes put it in a bit of the fridge even to bring it down. Or what we often do at our house is we just put something outside.
Sure.
Because we find the ambient temperature is generally cooler than in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, absolutely. So we're gonna let this cool.
Okay.
When we come back, we're gonna roll it out and pop her in the oven. Stay tuned. Hey guys, we're back. We've now got our filling in cooled, and we are starting to roll out our pastry. Again, you can purchase this pastry anywhere. You can make your own, but why? Why would you want to do that? Again, easy peasy. That's the way my life is, and I know you're as busy as I am, so it's easy peasy there. So roll this out. It calls for what? To explain what our steps are, I'm going to go get the filling.
Okay, so what I did is I put some flour down on the counter. I've rolled out the pastry on both sides using a bit of flour and some flour on the rolling pin. It said to roll it out to approximately 12 inches by 17 inches. So that's what I've tried to get approximate to. And we're going to just make sure it's sort of nice and flat, kind of even all the way around. I initially had a bit of a big dent in the center, so I kind of cut a piece and added it back in. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And then what we're going to be doing is putting it into our pan. What I've done is I've put some parchment paper on the pan on the long sides, and then we've sprayed the ends. So we're going to end up lifting this up. We're going to cut it about 2/3 of the way, I think it said. Make a cut about 3/4 of the way across, because we're going to save the top piece to cover the top with. So we'll save that piece. And then we're going to take this one large piece to fit in the bread pan. And we'll just make sure we do this okay.
Oh, perfect. Nope, I would spin it. What do you think? You
Sure.
think?
Yeah.
I would spin it so that, like that. Perfect. Awesome.
Thanks for the teamwork.
Gee.
All right.
And again, you may want to use a smaller bread pan. We're in our venue here in Delta, and so all our pans are commercial. But you may want to, for home use, use a smaller bread pan when doing this, and it would probably go up and over the edges a little bit easier.
Yeah.
For this pan, this isn't quite big enough, but it doesn't matter because we're going to roll it down anyway. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to end up covering it up. So we've put that in. We're going to we put some oil, as I said, on the narrow ends of the pan so that it won't stick. And what we're going to do is, fitting in the corners, we're going to gently press it into all sides of the pan, which again is what we've done, just so that it kind of fits into all those corners there. We'll just make sure we've got that in.
Yep.
Then we are going to layer in the mashed potatoes.
Mmm.
So that is perfect. I've got a spoon here.
Now we're actually going to layer both of these things in. Is that how we're going to?
That's what it says. Layer in the sweet potato mash.
Okay.
It should be higher than an inch.
Yep.
Then we're going to add the mushroom
So
lentil on top,
yep.
and then the cranberry sauce.
Nice. Okay. Well, we're definitely going to get more than an inch.
Yes. So in some cases, I actually think this is going to be the ideal pan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Maybe you're right.
Because it's going to give us that thickness.
Yep. Now, again, as I said previously, when you're using anything pumpkin-y, yammy, sweet potato-y, turnip-y, parsnip-y, you can always mix them. So you could mix yam and pumpkin, yam and sweet potato, any of those mixed root vegetables, absolutely. And then, of course, your pumpkin goes great with anything. So, again, I would say spice is a matter of choice.
And I just overspilt a bit.
That's okay.
Hey.
Spillage is all good. It's good for the picking up and licking.
Cooking is not perfect.
Right?
That's the beauty of cooking versus baking.
I have fixed more or created more from mistakes, more dishes. I could tell you about our shortbread marshmallow square at some point. And again, it was a mistake, but I mean, it was a fabulous dish when it was finished, and it's all about just trying to figure out what to do with it if you do make a mistake. But listen, that's how you create new dishes. That's how a lot of dishes are even created, is by mistakes.
Well, and I was going to say too, sometimes getting out of the conventional thinking of what a dish should be used for.
Right.
I've loved over the years when you've catered for us and you've done a shortbread tart with a savory appetizer.
Right.
Which is not necessarily what people are expecting.
Yep, exactly. Oh, absolutely you can.
Perfect.
So again, you're mixing little flavors. It doesn't matter because it's all going in the same dish.
Oh, this filling looks so good.
Oh, and when it was cooking, I can tell you, that smell coming from that cranberry apple, oh, yay. And in fact, here, now that we're heading into cranberry season, we will be making several of our cranberry sauces, cranberry blueberry, cranberry apple, cranberry raspberry, just because, again, like you say, cranberries combine with other fruit amazingly. It just adds another dimension to it. So this is beautiful. And this, what I love about this, and again, what we would have, just this topping, this cranberry sauce alone would be great on pancakes, on French toast, on those kinds of things. So it's so versatile. You could make extra, have it made up. We also talked about earlier about how you could have it with your turkey and Thanksgiving. So again, if you make extra for this particular dish, you can always have a leftover or use it in something else. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. So now that we've got all of our layers in, what we're going to be doing is putting the smaller piece of pastry that we have left over onto the top, giving us our kind of lid that we're going to be putting in. And then we're going to be folding our edges over.
Now again, if you wanted to be really fancy schmancy like those big old chefs, you know, the Gordon Ramsays of the world. That isn't me. Is you could save a piece of this pastry or roll out another piece of the puff pastry, cut out pumpkins, cut out, you know, leaves, whatever that is, and just run them down the top so that it looks nice and pretty when you get it all done. Again, when you're feeding a family of 10 like me, it's let's get her done, let's get her on the table, when can we eat? That's what I look forward to. This is something I would definitely eat in my house.
Oh,
definitely.
for sure.
Yeah. Now, again, my husband probably would have some turkey thrown in there or a steak in there, bacon, right? But yeah, this is amazing. Now, the recipe, again, if you were doing totally vegan, calls for a vegan butter. Great idea if indeed you want to keep it totally vegan. But again, as Paula would say, it's better with bacon and butter. So we're going to just brush the top before we put it into the oven with a little bit of butter, and we use the good old-fashioned butter. Another thing for those meat eaters, what I would do, if indeed I was cooking it for my husband, I'd eat it like this, but if I was cooking it for my husband, I might just layer some bacon across the top just to add that one more dimensional of flavor, right? So then what we do is before we're gonna pop it in the oven, we're just gonna brush the top with some butter. Again, you can use olive oil, you can use vegan butter, pretty much a taste preference at this point. Coconut butter, anything like that, you can certainly use. And it helps the process of turning brown. And then I would just wipe everything up nice and neat so you don't get that scorched kind of look.
And then I'm just gonna make a couple slits for venting.
Yeah.
So just to let the steam escape, they're just suggesting that we make 3 or 4 slits in the top of it, just so that it can come out.
And one of the reasons why you want to do that is so that your pastry becomes crisp and not soggy.
Oh, okay.
If it is steaming, it's going to hold that moisture in, and it's going to be like a soggy crust as opposed to a nice crisp, which is what puff pastry should really be when you're done. And again, I just wipe the edges so that it doesn't scorch as it cooks. You can do that inside. But there you go. It's ready to go. It's ready for the oven. If you want it again to be nice and fancy schmancy, just layer those little cookie things across the top. Make sure you do your venting. But then you could take a pair of scissors and actually trim your parchment paper down so it's just above your pastry line. So 30 to 40 minutes?
Yes, that's what it said.
Depending on your oven, 375. I would say, again, when it's golden brown, leave it in for maybe another minute past the golden brown stage, just so that you've got that bottom crust cooked, well cooked. But everything in here is already cooked.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of really combining it and marrying those flavors and browning the crust. So we're gonna pop it in and we're gonna see when it's done. Hey guys, welcome back. We have obviously waited our appropriate 30 to 40 minutes cooking time. Joining us semi-live, well, I know he's alive, we're just not sure semi and how, but the actual person that sent us the beautiful recipe, Jill's brother, Ken McKnight, is on the phone. But right now we're about to pop out this amazing dish. I have to tell you, the smell in the kitchen right now is amazing. It is, it's nice and browned. Again, it's a preference thing. I know my mother would say cook it some more because she likes her pastry fairly dark.
Okay.
But I looked at it, I took a peek at it. It is, in my opinion, very nicely browned. Smells amazing. And again, I don't know about you, Ken.
Ken, can you see?
And again, I don't know about you, but I would probably, if it was me, because I'm not vegetarian, I would brush it with just a little bit of butter. At this point, I think your recipe called for vegan butter. So again, I would do it just to soften, but now it's got to sit for about 20 minutes, just rest, and so it'll stay firm. We're gonna give it a couple minutes to just rest, and then we're gonna pull it out. I'm gonna grab a platter that we're going to set it on and for service. And why don't you tell them a little bit about what they can expect if they come to South Coast Casuals while I go grab a platter?
Sure, that'd be great. So South Coast Casuals, as I mentioned, is a ladies' clothing store. We are a good-sized clothing store. We're about 3,400 square feet, and we represent between 40 and 50 brands at any time. And our store specializes in customer service. So many of our customers work with our staff members one-on-one. Our hope is to help you build a wardrobe. We're not just going to sell you clothes. We're hoping to build a wardrobe that works for you and your lifestyle. We work with as many Canadian suppliers as we possibly can. And we carry from sizes 2 to 18, so we have something for almost everybody. As we're heading into the holiday seasons, we are also going to be working with a lot of gift items that are one size, so that we can help you find the perfect gift for whoever you might be purchasing for this year. And again, you can visit us through shop.southcoastcasuals.com or check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Okay, so we didn't do, for this dish, we didn't do a, I feel like I've got double cameras here now. I feel like, oh, Martha Stewart, look at us. We just got cameras everywhere pointed at us. But we did not do, for the magic of television, we didn't pre-bake a second dish. So here's the deal. So if this doesn't turn out, we're blaming Ken. That's how this is going to go down, okay? If this turns out, Ken had nothing to do with this dish. We just want to point that out. Sound fair, Ken?
Sounds fair.
Okay.
Perfect.
So,
I'm going to let you take it out because you're more experienced.
Sure. Well, what I was hoping we could possibly do, because this, I think, is...
The recipe does say you should be able to use the paper to help lift it.
Yeah, well, it lies a lot of time. Never believe a recipe. I'm here to tell you. Okay, well, that's okay. We're still...
We're still good?
Well, I wouldn't use the word good at this point, but I would say we're still copacetic.
Okay. Tell me how I can be of assistance.
Well, right now,
this.
you could hold the pan. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, hold on, people. We got this. We got this. Maybe. No. No, I feel like it's going to break on me. See, and again, folks, the fact that if you just let this set a little bit longer than what we've done, it probably would have come out a little bit easier. Hey, that's not good. Sorry, Ken. However, go ahead. Yep, pull that away. Yeah, perfect. So, as you can see, it come out. But if you'd have let this, if we would have let this set for the magic of television, it would have come out a whole lot. One more piece. Also, I think. Sorry, that also, I think part of their challenge for us was the fact that we used a pretty big bread pan. What do you normally use, Ken?
I've only made this one. I used it so I used two. The recipe fit in 2 different bread pans.
Right, so a smaller bread pan. So that would have made much more sense to us. And again, because it was our first time for this recipe, I mean, it looks and smells amazing. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to trim it up. Now, this is the magic of television. How you create a dish that you've had a little bit of an accident with. And it does look like we've had an accident with. We don't mind admitting that. But again, it's all about the experiment. So we now know that it needs to be in a smaller dish.
Yep.
As Jill had pointed out, she had never cooked the dish before. I had never cooked the dish before. But it truly does smell amazing. That's one of the things that we can say. It truly does smell amazing. And when we take the promo shots of this, we're actually going to take it from here where it looks all nice and pretty. That's what we're going to do. But I think we need to taste this.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Our lovely assistant, Vanna, is sneaking in some forks for us. Now, again, if it was my mom, she would want the crust much, much darker. I think this is a perfect crust.
I think this is beautiful.
And again, I would say that the bottom needs a little bit more cooking time. Again, I think it's because we put it in too big of a pan. I think in the smaller bread pans, as Ken has indicated, I think that would have turned out beautifully.
Yeah.
So I'm never about the first attempt being a failure. I'm always about, listen, what can we do to change it to make it better? But let's see what the taste is all about.
It's a learning opportunity.
It is a learning opportunity, absolutely. Oh, did you hear that?
That was a nice crust.
Did you hear that crunch, Ken?
That was beautiful.
Sucks to be you.
Because we're tasting it without them.
We are tasting it without them, but just the crunch alone was lovely. Okay. I'll try not to get any.
That is delicious.
Well, it smelled, and again, I mean, I can only go by the smell earlier, and while it was baking, it was to die for. And not only that, we come up with a couple different uses, if you will, for the cranberry apple sauce.
Yes,
So
we did.
Oh, that's a good sauce.
That was really good sauce. You could even save a bit of it and put it over the top. As a garnish.
that is very, 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 very good.
All right, I say we give it 2 thumbs up.
Well, I say we give it 10 thumbs up. Because clearly, taking it out of the pan, we were all thumbs. But no, you know, that is, it almost has a meaty consistency as well. I mean,
does.
obviously because of the lentils, but equally because of the mushrooms. The mushrooms are a meatier texture to it. Yeah, absolutely. But I would definitely make that for my family.
Yeah.
Again, if it was Daryl, my husband, probably get a steak in there is what we'd do. We'd hide a steak in one of the ends. But amazing job. So we're just going to show you and introduce you guys to the mastermind behind this recipe. Hang on, Ken. We're turning the phone. We don't want to make him seasick. We made him a little seasick when we set him up in here.
There
so
you
smile.
go. Smile, Ken.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Ken McKnight. So, Ken, what is the title to this recipe?
He doesn't know. It is.
Needed this call.
What is the name of this dish?
Thanksgiving roast. It's
Thanks.
on
Oh, awesome. Okay.
the Game Changers on Netflix.
It's from Game Changers on Netflix. Okay? So, well,
right.
thanks, Ken. I'm glad you joined us at the end of it. And I apologize that we kind of had a little oops, but the dish, for taste-wise,
Is delicious.
amazing.
Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing the episode on YouTube.
Awesome. Well, make sure you subscribe because we're all big celebrities over here. We have our own PAs now.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Give that baby a big hug. Well, not now because you put her to bed, but later.
Will do.
Okay. Bye. Okay, guys, so that's another episode of Mr. Mom's World. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you got to see what we can create here with this wonderful vegetarian, potentially vegan dish. We welcome you to check out our site for not only other recipes, but for shopping opportunities for the holidays coming up. That would be, you know, all our jams, baskets, all those kinds of things. www.mrmomsworldcatering.com. If you want to check out some different shows and our actual web show at Mr. Mom's World Speaks, please do so. There will be other interviews there. www.mrmomsworldspeaks.com. I hope you guys had a great time. I did. I love talking to people that are in our community, but obviously friends, longtime friends. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you have a great time.
I am. I had a great time.
Awesome. And again, thanks to Ken for sending us that recipe. I look forward to you guys coming and joining me next time. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy yourselves. Eat lots of turkey. Have a turkey coma. We're good with that. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. See you later.